So Gladiator II has now been released in North America, and for the most part, audiences are happy with the final product. I for one loved what Ridley Scott did with the sequel, and while I had some minor issues with the opening half an hour or so, I thought the rest of it built on the themes of the first in a very interesting way. But the director has said in recent weeks that he is currently writing a script for a third Gladiator film, and explains that this will present a very different approach than what we got in the first two movies. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing the director's comments on a potential Gladiator 3 and talking about how the end of Gladiator 2 might set that up. There will be spoilers from the end of Gladiator 2 in this video, so if you haven't watched the film yet, then I would recommend checking it out before watching my analysis. Before I get into it though, if you want to see more on upcoming releases like Gladiator, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating and subscribing to the channel. But without further ado, let's dive into how the ending of Gladiator 2 sets up a third film. So the concluding moments of Gladiator 2 may be hinting at the possibility of a Gladiator 3, as Ridley Scott has already shared a concept for the potential follow-up. At the time, the first Gladiator film was a masterfully crafted narrative that could have thrived independently, but the motivation for the new film stemmed from the original's exploration of legacy and how choices shaped the future. Gladiator 2 did partially tie back to its predecessor, building on the character of Paul Mescal's Lucius, who was actually the son of Russell Crowe's Maximus. And the ending parts of the sequel aimed to deliver on the ideal of hope that Maximus fought for. The initial 30 minutes of Gladiator 2 mirrored many elements from the first film, but the story then took quite a new turn. Denzel Washington's Macrinus unveiled his ambitious scheme to overthrow the emperors, and with history of being a slave himself, he used that as fuel to take control and to establish himself as a new dictator of Rome. During the ending segment of the film, while things looked like they were initially going to plan for him, expecting Lucius and his mother to be killed in the Colosseum, he only just managed to kill Lucilla during all the chaos in the arena. Lucius ends up pursuing Macrinus on horseback, and Acacius' army confronts him at the city gates. Macrinus was determined to safeguard his newfound power, and that is to reshape Rome according to his vision. However, those aspirations remained unfulfilled, and when Lucius confronted Macrinus at the gates, he issued a challenge for a duel, refusing to allow any more lives to be lost for the sake of another's greed. During their fight, Macrinus attempted to submerge Lucius beneath the water, while also lunging at him with his dagger. However, his efforts were thwarted as he failed to penetrate the sturdy armor of Maximus, serving as symbolic protection for Lucius by his father. Beneath the water, Lucius was in a near-purgatory state, and the vision he had echoed the one he had at the start of the film, where he lost his wife during the opening siege in Numidia. It suggested that on one side, Lucius longed to be reunited with his lost ones, yet ultimately, he realized that this is not his true end. And this is how the ending of Gladiator 2 built upon the ideas that the previous movie ended with. Lucius became determined to survive in order to realize the aspirations of his grandfather Marcus Aurelius, his father Maximus, and his mother Lucilla, marking a deliverance on the values emphasized at the conclusion of the first Gladiator. It's in this moment that Lucius emerged from the water, cuts off Macrinus' hands, and leaves him to die. He follows this by ordering everyone around him on both sides to cease the bloodshed in the name of tyranny, and he urged them to strive for the vision his family held dear and the ideals for which his father sacrificed his life for. So it's in his final address to them that he hinted at the restoration of the Roman Republic, where the Senate and the citizens of Rome would govern, free from the rule of an emperor. Before Macrinus could execute his plans for dominance, Lucius took action and chose to abandon the notion of the Roman Empire altogether. And having lost his own wife in a campaign of brutality, he aimed to shift focus towards rebuilding the city and safeguarding its citizens. So it's these political changes at the end of Gladiator II that make us think it could be the beginning of the end for the Roman Empire. However, in interviews for Gladiator II, Ridley Scott has revealed that he's already working on a script for the third film, and he claims that things may be quite different than you think. In those interviews, he mentioned that he has already penned 8 pages for a third film, hinting that the opening he crafted sets the stage for a captivating narrative. He also noted that if Gladiator III comes to fruition, it probably won't revisit the arena. He concluded by revealing that the upcoming film will centre around Lucius, who finds himself in a job he never desired, leading to his moral decline. So if Scott does make a Gladiator 3, and the worldwide box office so far kind of suggests that he will, then it seems like it will be a very different kind of movie. Based on what he said, it kind of makes me think about the Dune Messiah story and how in that book, the character of Paul Atreides struggles in power as the Emperor, having been fighting against those in power in the previous book. It might not be exactly the same as that though, because Paul does kill billions during his time as Emperor. Maybe it's a bit different with Lucius, as he is fighting for the people and trying to end bloodshed and tyranny. And maybe the issues that he deals with from others involve them wanting to restore the Roman Empire to how it was before Lucius became Emperor. Also, both Gladiator films do centre around themes of revenge. In the original, Maximus seeks retribution against Commodus for the murder of his family, and then in the second, Lucius aims to avenge his wife's death at the hands of Acacius. However, Gladiator 3, which follows Lucius as the new emperor, is likely to shift away from that revenge narrative. Instead, it would probably explore Lucius's journey to restore Rome, and it may involve him addressing the deep-rooted issues within Rome's system and defending his reign against potential challengers. If Ridley chooses to take this direction, it would completely alter the typical narrative structure of Gladiator. In the first 2 films, viewers follow the main character on their journey for vengeance. However, in Gladiator 3, with threats looming over Lucius from those seeking to eliminate him, the story could shift to his viewpoint as he navigates the challenges posed by other Romans. This could reveal that achieving his vision for Rome may prove to be far more difficult, despite the optimistic conclusion of Gladiator 2. So ultimately, we'll have to see what direction Ridley goes in, but based on what he said in recent interviews, I do think that this will be the gist of that next film. One thing I will say about him making a Gladiator 3 is that I'm not entirely sold on it yet after the ending of the second movie. On one side, I really enjoyed the film and was surprised by the final product of it. Yes, it wasn't as good as the first, but I thought the direction that Ridley took was the right one, and the narrative and themes of the ending really delivered on what came before. But on the other side of things, the way the film ends with this sense of deliverance for Lucius and Rome, and him finally allowing Rome to make for a better future, is something that makes me feel that it may work better as a true ending, rather than set up for a third film that shows the bumps in the road that came after. For me, there's just something complete about the ending of the second film that seems like the perfect leaving point, and while I loved Gladiator 2, I don't know if I'm excited for another one. What I will say is that Ridley Scott proved me wrong with the sequel, and I didn't think for 1 second that I'd like this new film or even its story. So based on the results of Gladiator 2, I will at least give the director a chance with his planned third film. And based on his recent interviews about it, it does sound like a third film would be his final installment. So maybe his idea does build well on the ending of Gladiator 2, and it details exactly why it should be made. Time will of course tell, and at the end of the day, I'd still be interested to see what he'd do with it. But they were my thoughts on Ridley Scott's plans for a Gladiator 3. Overall, I thought the director's latest film was a great return to form, and for me, it was one that delivered on the hope of the original film's ending. But what did you think of the ending to Gladiator 2, and based on how it ended and all the things that Ridley Scott has said about it, do you want to see a Gladiator 3? Let me know down below in the comment section. For more on upcoming releases like Gladiator 2, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.